Pep Talk UK. It's time!
Everyone talk good game, but it don't really faze me. The man that ain't mad like Max, the boy that not murky like Ace B. And them guy walk the slide on the back balling like a baby.
Oi, oi, welcome to the Pep Talk UK Sports Podcast, the podcast that talks the major boxing and football news from around the globe, real points of view from a real panel, hashtag real talk on Pep Talk. Please subscribe to Pep Talk UK on iTunes and YouTube. Don't forget to like, share and comment. Now I'm your host, Frankie B, and I'm joined by a sick panel. Firstly, I'd like to welcome from the capital city of France, Paris, Pascal. How you doing, mate?
Frankie B, bonsoir et bonjour à tout le monde. I'm very well indeed, thank you. And how are you?
I'm doing well, mate. I'm doing well. We had a good weekend of boxing last weekend with Notorious and Collin.
Oh, yes, of course.
I'm raring to talk about it with you guys.
Oh, look, very excited for the show, Frankie B. Thank you for having me again.
Yeah, and I think we need to clear up a bit of speculation, Pascal. There's been a lot of talk, yeah, and it ain't a rumour, but it's true, it's official. Pep Talk /JD Sports Undisputed.
Of course. Oh, yes, of course. You know, congratulations. That's a very, very good acquisition. You know, JD Sports, a very good shop. You know, whenever I come to London, I always go there and, you know, get some Mackenzie hoodies, you know.
Yeah, in Scottish terms, it's just a wee partnership, you know, a wee boxing partnership.
Well, félicitations, well done. It's very good to see that Pep Talk is going from strength to strength, you know.
Yeah, baby. Now, Pascal, you want to shout out your social media?
Of course, my social media is Pascal_Desade, DESADE, and that is Pascal the Franglish, the man who speaks English with a English accent and a French accent at the same time. Please contact me and DM me for some sexy messages. Thank you.
The man is a joker. The man's a joker. Now, finally, I'd like to welcome for the first time, a young, flashy, fly-hungry boxer signed to Goodwin Promotions. Can we welcome Brad Pauls? How you doing, mate?
I'm splendid, mate. Doing very good. Happy to be on the podcast. I've heard all good things. So it's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I just got to do it again. Woo! Brad Pauls is in the house once more.
You're good at the intros. I think you're the next Michael Buffy.
I wish, mate.
What's going on there?
So, Brad, what's going on? What's been going on with training? How you feeling?
I'm feeling amazing. Training all the time. I've recently just got some news, so it's just all got a bit serious. I've got
You're not having twins, are you?
I hope not, mate. Can't afford that.
Okay.
But I've just got another fight date whilst having a fight date already.
Wow.
So I'm boxing the 22nd of April in your call, and then just like that, got a fight 2 weeks later in Plymouth.
Wow.
Near my hometown in Cornwall. So that's mad.
Wow. So you got to put in double training then? Double
training, no pasties, no cakes, no nothing. It's all just got extra serious. Yeah. So I like it though. I love it.
So no Oreo cookies with milk?
No, none of that. Imagine a bit of celery. I'll just eat that. That's it. They can wait now.
Cool.
The fun part.
Brad, you want to shout out your social media?
Social media, I think just at Brad Pauls. Everything. Facebook, Brad Pauls _professional boxer, and everything else, just at Brad Pauls. Add me up and follow my journey to the top. All my training stuff on there, so get involved. Appreciate it.
Sounds kind of lit, bro. What about tickets before we move on? What about tickets?
If you can get hold of me on social media, just drop me a message and I can send you a link just like that, and just order them off the link, and then you're welcome to come watch me put on a show on both of my fights. So yeah, let me know. It's gonna be good.
That's it. It's gonna be lit. You heard the man.
Lit AF.
Lit situations. Right, guys, we're gonna move on. Ladies and gents, attention please for the fight fans locked in. Attention please for the football fans locked in. Now it's time for some real talk on Pep Talk. Let's go! Yup. Yes, sir. So we're going to start with the boxing. We need to talk about last weekend's mega fight between Jorge Linares and Anthony Crolla. And it was a masterclass from Jorge Linares, who won the contest by a wide margin on the scorecards. Now, Pascal.
Oui, monsieur.
What a performance from Linares. Simply majestic. Fantastico.
It was certainly splendid, Frankie. You know, Linares was doing the salsa in the ring, you know, against Crolla. I mean, the movement of the boxer is incredible, and his technique is just superb. And you know, Frankie B, you're very much aware of the rapper Meek Mill, and there was a song that he said there's levels to this shit, you know. And then you know, and for me, Linares showed that he could step up another gear. I mean, you know, the result of this fight was a great margin, you know, unanimous decision in favor of Linares. I mean, 118 to 109. I mean, this shows
wide margin.
Very wide margin, which shows that the man has got a lot in his tank, a lot in his arsenal, you know, and I'm looking forward to actually see Linares, you know, possibly take on Nick Garcia. You know, it certainly was a shout out that he was doing.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
That would be a super fight, and I think that was probably why Oscar De La Hoya was there, you know, to potentially broker that fight. But look, credit to Crolla. You know, like Crolla is very good guy, you know, a lovely guy. I certainly think there's an opportunity for Crolla also to get back into the fold, you know. I think that
Flanagan.
There's a chance, of course, I was going to mention Flanagan. There's an opportunity for him, but, you know, Flanagan is not as a you know, known as a household name like Linares. You know, I mean, Linares, a lot of boxing purists know who he is, and certainly the boxing public may not know what Linares is about. So, you know, Flanagan could be another one, a bit of an obscure, you know, world champion, but I think it will be a very good fight. They're both from Manchester, so it could be a local derby, you know.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. I like City and Man United. It could be.
Exactement, oui, of course, Frankie B. So I'm looking forward to Crolla coming back, but I think that he certainly needs to relax now, because, you know, the first fight was a very good fight, you know, and he wasn't too close enough to warrant a rematch, but Crolla felt that he didn't give enough in the first fight. But in the second fight, you know, the knockdown on the seventh round was certainly, you know, in these days, you know, Frankie B, the margins in boxing are so tight these days that even the knockdown can cause you the fight. But in this instance, you know, Linares dominated for me from start to finish.
Yes, and it seemed like he had him all figured out from the first fight. He literally just was so relaxed. The way he was just throwing the combinations, and he was moving. It was like he was doing a salsa, mate.
Well, you're absolutely right. You know, he was certainly doing the salsa with the Macarena, but he was certainly. I mean, you know, Linares figured Crolla out in the first encounter, if I'm honest with you, and he wasn't too nervous about the second encounter. So for him was a good paycheck, you know, and an opportunity to go and call out the bigger name. So I'm looking forward to see Linares fighting in America, perhaps, you know, in Las Vegas, and I think a fight with Nick Garcia will be very good. You know, and Garcia has responded, I'm told, in a blog.
He's got Twitter fingers now. He's got Twitter fingers straight away after the fight.
Everybody has Twitter fingers after Mick Bill and Drake. You know, there's a lot of Twitter wars going on, and it certainly be a good fight. You know, and I hope that fight gets made. You know, end of the year perhaps should be a good fight.
It should be. It should be. Now moving on, Brad Pauls. It just seemed like we've mentioned Linares was fantastic, But it seemed like literally what Pascal's saying, that he was on a completely different level.
I think that's the word, though, isn't it? Levels. And you've seen it more in the second fight than in the first fight. But you've got to give credit to Crawler, because he just took the hardest fights you can get. If you look at his last 3 opponents, doesn't dodge anyone.
Yeah, of course.
And in the fight, I think he had the big knockdown, which he was hurt. And he didn't give up. He didn't let up the pressure.
There was no towels.
And then I think at one point Gallagher was talking about stopping it, and Crawler disagreed. He was like, "No, let me finish." Which you got to give Crawler credit for.
He was like, "Fam, there's no way I'm giving up, fam." That's what he was like.
He was like, "No, mate," and it was quite close to the end as well, and he wasn't getting ridiculous amounts of damage, so he had to finish on his feet, I think, which was only fair. But you could just see the levels in it, and there's no shame in losing to Linares, because I remember seeing he is world class. I remember seeing videos of him sparring and him just flattening guys with a straight right over the jab. So just different levels. But Collin can come back. He showed he's still got heart, and he's still got the engine for it. So I think he can come back, fight Flanagan, or he's got plenty of options out there. So fair play to him.
Yeah, but it also seemed like Linares had his tactics spot on, because he was boxing at range and he was kind of nullifying the body shot that Crawler likes to administer. I think after the first fight, he already had Crawler figured out, and it was only going to get worse for Crawler. Yeah, he's a come-forward fighter, isn't he?
Yeah, come forward with the pressure, and Linares just learned how to deal with it, and he didn't have any more ideas, Crawler. And then once Linares had figured him out, and that was it, he had no other options, nothing else to do, so it was only going to get worse for him. But fair play for taking the fight, like, he's only fighting the best in the world, so there's no shame.
Pascal, on to you now. We have to give props to Anthony Crawler, right?
Of course.
But, even though he lost the fight, I'm still going to say he's the people's champion, like The Rock.
He certainly is. I mean, if you remember, we've always picked up on Anthony Crawler because of the recent incident. This is a man that had to fight burglars. I think he had a brick thrown over his head.
Came back.
The mental strength of the guy is just unbelievable. And I'm certain, and he comes across very well in the interviews. In a post-fight interview, he did say hands down that he was beaten by the better man. Therefore, there's no bitterness in his heart. And these are the people that make boxing such a beautiful sport, because they put it all on the line, all in the ring, and even outside the ring. Anthony Crawler can keep his dignity as a man and as a true champion, and a true champion bounces back. And I've got no doubt in my mind that Anthony Crawler will become world champion again, and there's certainly an opportunity in Terry Flanagan. But Terry was also a very good fighter, so let's not write him off. He's a champion, and he didn't get there, by certainly standing on his feet. So it's certainly a good fight that can be made, and so up to Matchroom, up to Adrian to decide what to do. But I think Crawler needs to maybe get himself some tune-up fights, take the rest of the Easter holidays, relax, go to Jamaica or somewhere like that, and then come back and start training again, and give him 1 or 2 fights where he can build his confidence up, and then perhaps end of the year, maybe next year, a Terry Flanagan fight for WBO lightweight title, and perhaps maybe another shot at Linares. You never know. In boxing, you can always learn new things. He never give up.
Yeah, and he truly has the heart of a people's champion.
Of course.
Now, Brad Pauls, there's a lot of focus now of a fight between Linares and Mikey Garcia. Now, if that happens, who's your money on?
It's a tough one, isn't it? There's arguments for both.
But Linares has lost before.
I'm going to say Mikey Garcia.
Yeah, because Linares he's got 3 L's, and Mikey Garcia hasn't lost before.
Has never lost.
Never lost.
Mikey Garcia's last fight. You see that? Pow!
Yeah.
That was power.
That was serious.
Clinical, and then a big. I think it was a right to finish, and he was not getting up. Jim. That was it. So he's got that. He's got that power, I think, and I think he's just that little bit more special and a little bit more stronger. So it'd be a good fight, but Mikey Garcia.
Mikey, man like Mikey. Pascal, who you picking? If that fight happens, who you picking?
Of course, I've got to go with Mikey Garcia, man. Garcia is a special fighter, absolutely special fighter, and I believe he's trained by the other Garcia, the trainer, Robert Garcia, if I'm not mistaken. And and Mick Garcia is a special talent, very strong. I even remember Floyd Mayweather was courting him for quite some time to join the money team, because he could see the potential. And I think that Mike Garcia is certainly one to look out for in that division. And it's going to be an incredible fight because they're both very technically gifted. Linares, as we said before, is an incredible talent. But I think that Linares is perhaps peaking and maybe going over the hill a little bit, whereas Mickey Garcia is still very much in the ascendancy. Yeah. So, and the youth and the talent of Garcia, and he's a hard-working, boxer. He works really hard. I watch his blogs and follow him on social media. He's always in the gym training very hard. So I would edge it to Garcia for the simple reason that if the fight is in America, he will have the support of the local Mexican Americans and the Americans, and Linares is comfortable fighting abroad, but Mickey Garcia is a completely different kettle of fish, and I certainly, would give him the advantage over that fight. But don't write off Linares, he's a special fighter also.
When I say Mikey, I keep thinking of Baby Sham. When it says, me say Mikey?
Yes, I remember that song.
Yeah, Baby Sham. Yeah, Baby Sham.
That's how Baby Sham.
Okay, guys, on a serious note, now last week we had Kell Brook and Errol Spence face to face at the press conference. It's about to go down May 27th at Sheffield United's ground, Bramall Lane. Now, Pascal.
Woo-wee.
Judging from the press conference, I think we're going to have the makings of a war.
Oh, Rocky, I cannot wait for that fight. I tip this fight to be a classic fight, It's going to be a classic fight. I'll tell you for why, because, both fighters are very strong. I mean, as I saw, Errol Spence and Kell Brook, tete-a-tete, the face-to-face, and they both look very lean, very strong, very determined young men. And Kell Brook, I said on various interviews and various videocasts and podcasts that he is not losing that fight. He worked very hard to get the IBF title. He finds it very hard to go back to welterweight, to 147, but he will certainly land his chocolate brownie on Errol Spence's face. Errol Spence, somebody needs to tell him about British humor, because Errol Spence looked completely dazed, but eventually understood what a chocolate brownie is, and that is a Mr. Kell Brook, right hand. But look, do not write off Errol Spence. Errol Spence, we have to give him a lot of respect.
He was mocking that, though. He was mocking that about the chocolate brownies. He was mocking it.
He was mocking it, but, he will soon realize that the chocolate brownie is very real, and if he's not careful, he could be eating a lot of chocolate brownies during that night. I mean, Errol Spence is going
chocolate poisoning, yeah.
To Sheffield, I'm told it's not the nicest place in England to go to, but, Errol Spence is going to be fighting there in Bramall Lane, full of people from Sheffield. It's going to be a very hostile atmosphere, and Errol Spence, we have to give him credit, because not many Americans come over and fight, but you remember when Terence Crawford, went over to Scotland.
And he scored Ricky Burns, he scored him.
And he scored, it was a superb performance. No, but I do not expect Errol Spence to do that to Kell Brook, I like Kell Brook, and I've got the feeling that Kell Brook will pull something special that night. I really do. I think it's going to be a superb fight. I've got split decision, Kell Brook, 2 judges against 1. That's my opinion. Yes.
Yeah, it's going to go down to the wire. Brad Pauls, you like a bit of chocolate brownies with custard?
Yeah, I love a bit of that. Right after my fights. not off Kell Brook, though.
Well, you're not trading. Oh, yeah, those brownies hurt, mate. They really hurt, mate.
He's strong, isn't he? He is very strong.
Who you tipping to keep a hold to win the IBF title or retain the IBF title come May 27th?
It's hard to say, really, because Errol Spence has never been tested like that before. As in, he's going to a place he's never been, in a massive stadium, against someone special like Kell Brook. And Kell Brook is ridiculously big for a welterweight. And if he makes it as good as he normally does, makes the weight and keeps his strength, then he's very, very dangerous. and does very, very well against southpaws. It's something about his style, and he prefers them over orthodox, which is quite unusual. But it's a little bit of, we're going to really see how good Errol Spence is. He's an Olympian, so he obviously can box, and he's done everything he should have done so far as a pro. But this is where you find out if he's the real deal or not. And tough fight, isn't it? Tough fight. I can't split it, to be honest. I'm not like Pascal, who can pick it that accurate with the judges, 2 going one way, 1 going the other. I can't. I'm sitting on the fence. I'm going to stay nice and cosy on the fence of this one.
Well, it certainly won't be 118 to 109. That's for sure.
No way. That ain't happening.
Well,
Yeah.
Pascal,
Well,
I mean,
what about you, Frankie B? What do you think?
it's going to be really close. Like, in some ways, Errol Spence, even though he has pedigree as an Olympian, he's got a bit of the unknown about him. And that could shock Kell Brook. But then Kell Brook as well, he's so powerful, he's so precise. And he's faced the better caliber fighters so far. And this is a fight I really think it's a 50-50. I'm going to be honest. It's going to be interesting, and I think it will go down to the judges. And with a home advantage, Kell Brook, the special one, might do it.
You know, Frankie B, if you want my honest opinion, I think that Errol Spence will have a better fight, an easier fight against Keith Thurman than Kell Brook. I think the Kell Brook fight for the IBF title belt is a very dangerous fight for him.
Slippery
and for
sample,
his
yeah, it's
career.
slippery.
It's a very dangerous one, and Kell Brook is known as the Southpaw Slayer in his gym, you know, in Sheffield. He's very good against Southpaw, as Brad Paul said, you know, and I'm just think that
Straight
Errol
right to
Spence,
the body. Straight right to the body.
of course, he's very young man, you know, and you know sometimes when you're very young and you're too anxious, you premature ejaculate, and I think that Errol Spence could be in a very difficult situation with Kell Brook. You know, that's my honest opinion. I think that the Errol Spence promotion team rushed him into this world title. Also, Floyd Mayweather has tipped him to become world champion, but you know he has to take his time. And I think there's, as you said before, Frankie B, everything's about timing in this sport. And there were certainly easier fights for Errol Spence to take, and he could make himself a mandatory against Keith Thurman, which I believe would give him a lot more recognition, a lot more money. But this is a very dangerous fight to come to Britain in Sheffield. Oh my, mon Dieu. It's going to be very hard.
It's going to be hard, but it's going to be entertaining, and this is what we want. We want genuine 50-50 fights.
Of course.
Now let's move on to Lawrence Okoli, who was on the Linares and Crawler bill. Now, Lawrence Okoli, he's straight out of Hackney, a penny boy, and an Olympian. Now, 20 seconds he took to dispose of his opponent. Pascal, how impressive was Lawrence Pennyboy Okoli?
He was very, very impressive. You know, the opponent just done a dance I've never seen before. 20-second knockout. I mean, the young man has very much a lot of power. You know, those chicken shops in Hackney are doing a very good job, because, you know, that certainly, I did not expect that, you know, you expect a boxer to certainly, you know, when you've got your first professional fight like this, you know, with so many people looking at you, to test your position, you know, to go easy, you know, to test them out. But, you know, Lawrence Okoli went for the kill, and he's got that killer instinct. He's going to be a very dangerous fighter. And, you know, I'm sure they breed him very rough in Hackney, because he showed that in the ring. Yeah.
How is Hackney comparable with Paris, the mean streets of Paris, mate?
Oh, you know, Frankie B, you know, I don't mean to boast, but we've got the toughest hoods in Europe, you know.
Brad Pauls, how far do you think Lawrence Okoli could go in the game?
I think very far. I think I've watched a few of his interviews, and his mindset and the way he believes in himself so early on. And he doesn't want an easy route. He wants the tough fights early. I think that will take him a long way. And I remember I watched him box as an amateur a few years ago, and it was in Sheffield in the Bucks Championships, the University Championships in the finals.
Yeah.
And he absolutely poleaxed his opponent with a right hand. He didn't get up for 5 minutes. And I was like, wow, everyone clapped when the lads got up. Like, Lawrence didn't celebrate because he was in a bad way. And it's just stuck in my mind. And then once I seen him go to the Olympics, I was like, oh, I remember him. And then exactly what he did on Saturday night, I seen him do that as an amateur. So everything I've seen is just dangerous. And I think, yeah, with Sky Sports and that and stuff, he can go all the way, definitely.
Big up the Penny Boys, yeah?
Penny Boys!
Right, guys, now there's been talk of another big fight, like they keep coming. There's been talk of GGG versus Billy Joe Saunders in June. Now that would be a scorcher. Now Pascal, Billy Joe says he's happy to do this thing. He said he's waiting for Triple G to sort out the formalities and he's ready to go. Now if that fight happens, who's your money on and who do you think's gonna unify the titles?
Do you know, Frankie B has just remembered the comment that Billy Joe Saunders called Triple G, you know, yeah, and the Canelo, of course. So, yeah. It was listen, the band is very entertaining, you know, big up to the travelers, you know, big up to the traveling community, very entertaining bunch of people. But, you know, I certainly fancy a good fight. You know, but of course, you know, I mean, listen, common sense would say that and dictate that Triple G should have the edge because he has the belts, most of the belts, you know, if you were to put them on a scale, the scale would tilt towards Triple G. But of course, you know, we still need to see, you know, what Billy Joe Saunders could do. And he's a world-class champion because he has a world title belt. So it'll be good for him to test himself against the number one guy in the division, you know.
The main man, yeah.
Certainly the main man. But look, what's interesting is that Kell Brook believes that he's put a dent in Triple G, you know, and Jacobs certainly proved that Triple G is a fallible man, he's a human man. It took him 12 rounds. So is it perhaps the timing that Billy Joe probably has seen something that it is worth now looking at and taking advantage of, you know? You get Triple G in difficult fights, you know, taking him 12 rounds. Billy Joe's not sustained the same level of activity in the ring. He's a much more better preserved fighter. So is it the right time for Billy Joe to fight? Perhaps he could be very interesting.
He needs a big fight though. It's been a while. Billy Joe needs a big fight right now.
I agree. He needs a very big fight, and he certainly has the skills to stay with Triple G. But does he have the power?
Skills. Yeah.
You know, the power is certainly something that we've yet to see. You know, but boxing wise, he's very good. He's a very good boxer. You know, and
fundamentals. Yeah.
Fundamentals very good, very slippery. You know, and we certainly need to see him in a very big fight. And I think he wants to prove himself at the highest level. But my money for now, you know, Frankie B will remain with the super champion, and that would be Triple G.
Yeah. And Pascal, Billy Joe is also disregarding Chris Eubank Jr.'s belt as well.
Oh yes, of course. He claimed that he's a Kinder Surprise belt or something like that. You know, I mean, look, it's in terms of boxing bodies, it's certainly a much less established boxing federation, you know, but let's not take the credit away from Chris Eubank Jr. He is still recognized as a world champion, you know, in terms of the IBO belt.
And he's got stardust all over him, you know, when he fights, people want to watch his fights. He's entertaining.
I like the guy, you know. He's very, very entertaining. Yeah, certainly his father was also very much, still very much in the limelight. So, you know, I want the Eubanks to stay British boxing for as long as possible because they bring in a different flavor, you know, and it's always good to have a father-son relationship in boxing, you know, and certainly, you know, to have a world champion now, you know, another stable of world champion coming out of Britain is commendable. So, yeah, credit to the Eubanks.
Yeah, and I really like his ring music. It's still Dre Day. A.K. Now, Brad Pauls, and it's more serious now. Excuse me, I've been on the rum and coke again. Like Billy Joe, I mean, what do you think Billy Joe possesses to cause a very, very unexpected upset?
I don't think he's got enough to cause an upset. I think he can cause him troubles during the fight, but I remember watching an interview with Billy Joe a few years ago, and when they mentioned the GGG fight, he sort of was like saying, "Oh, I don't want to fight him." And then now that, obviously everyone thought that, but now that he's seen a little bit of weakness in him in the Jacobs fight, he's seen him go 12 rounds. Is he starting to age a little bit? He's 35 GGG. And I think that's where Billy Joe's going to get his confidence. And obviously, he is a really good boxer, but the way I see the fight panning out, I see GGG having a few troubles early on, but then I see him cutting off the ring, wearing down Billy Joe, and then after the 6th round, then he'll just pick him apart and he'll just wear him down and stop him, I think. So, yeah, it'll be good while it lasts, but GGG all the way, I think.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they can make their fight. We want to see it right in the middle of the summer. Let's do it.
Yeah.
GGG Billy Joe, let's go. Now it's interview time. Busy as ever, our boxing correspondent Shaz attended a white-collar boxing charity event in Essex last weekend where Shaz caught up with a super middleweight boxer, Billy Long.
Pep Talk UK are in Chelmsford on a Saturday night at a white collar event organised by SWCB, and I've bumped into a pro fighter who at this moment in time is doing something a little bit different. He's hand wrapping a guy called Ashley Cole, not the Ashley Cole that used to play for that shit side Chelsea, but this is another Ashley Cole. Say hi, Ashley.
Hello there. I'm the better looking one, by the way.
And the man wrapping him is none other than Mr. Billy Long. How you doing, Billy?
How's it going, Chaz? You alright, bud?
I'm alright. Billy, what are you doing?
No, nothing. So basically, someone I know runs an event called Superman White Collar Boxing, and I just help train the fighters. Obviously, I can't do the corners because there's stipulations in being a pro fighter and stuff like that. So yeah, basically, I'm just down here helping out, padding the guys, help wrapping their hands, and just doing my bit for charity. Do you know what I mean? I raised quite a bit of money last year. I think over 20 grand, and this year I aim to do a lot more. So yeah, that's what I'm doing.
I'll be honest, I've seen the quality of the fights tonight. I've seen the amount of money that's being raised, and it is a commendable cause. Now, turning to your pro career, you're what, 5-0 now?
Yeah, I'm 5-0 now, soon to make it 6-0.
6-0 and on quite a big card.
Yeah, a big bill, a big bill because there's one man's being named. Unfortunately, it's not DeOntay Davis, it's Floyd Mayweather, because he is Floyd Mayweather's only world champion. So the limelight, I feel a bit sorry for DeOntay Davis, you know this, because the limelight's kind of been taken away from him a little bit in the fact that people are buying tickets off me to hope to see Floyd Mayweather, not DeOntay Davis, which, kind of winds me up because he's a great fighter. And listen, and you've got to give credit to the Walsh brothers. I know them a little bit. I've bumped into them a few times. I've done my training out in Tenerife. Unfortunately, I ain't been there at the time I have been, but they're good guys, They're respectable guys. They've got a good coach. They've got a coach over here and a coach who no one even knows about, who never gets a fucking mention. He's Manuel over in Tenerife, and he's a great trainer, and he's an even better man. So, yeah, the credit deserves to be given to DeOntay Davis and Walsh. Well, especially Walsh for taking this fight because, people are writing him off already. He's a game kid and a talented boxer.
Well, Billy, if it makes you feel better, I'm going to be there fight night.
Yep.
On the 20th of May, is it?
Whose name? Yeah, it is 20th of May.
20th of May, and I'm going to come and watch you, and I'm going to tweet about you, and I'm going to be...
Whose name are you going to be screaming, though? That's what I want to know.
I don't, because I worked for the Mayweathers as well in the past, so...
Oh, you worked for the Mayweathers, okay.
I've worked for the Mayweathers in the past, so
that's all right.
I get access, I don't need to scream. I do it privately, I don't do it publicly anymore.
No. I appreciate that. Like I said, Mayweather's the best boxer in the world, period, and he deserves all the respect he gets, but I'm just saying, when these guys are fighting, it's all anyone cares about is Floyd Mayweather. It takes the limelight off everyone else, which is a bit unfortunate, you know what I mean? But listen, it is what it is. Everyone wants to see the man, don't they?
You're 5-0?
Yep.
Soon to be 6-0?
Soon to be 6-0, exactly that, mate.
Where are you heading with your career? What do you want to achieve this year?
Do you know what? I'm 28 years old. Well, 28 years young, actually, I say. I'm gonna have this fight, and then I'm gonna speak to my manager Andy Ayling, who's obviously heads up things at Queensbury Promotions with Frank Warren. So I'll speak to him after this fight, and I'll see where things are at, because I ain't getting any younger, and a man's like me needs a belt round his waist. You know what I'm saying? And I don't mean the Gucci one either, the one like you're wearing tonight. I mean I want the proper one. Yeah, the Gucci one. That's it. Oh, that's a flash Gucci belt. It's a flash Gucci belt you got on there.
I'm not wearing a Gucci belt. I'll actually lift my top up when we're doing the picture at the end of this interview, just to show I weren't wearing a Gucci belt.
Okay, you weren't wearing a Gucci belt, I was telling fibs, but yeah, I want to, you know what I'm saying, I want a belt. I've always said I want to give my kids that. I want to give my kids a belt, you know, all the stuff I put them through, and all the training, all the things I have to miss out on because I'm training, or I can't eat this and I can't eat that, and daddy's in the mood because, you know, so they deserve something off their daddy, you know, and I'll give them just that.
What's your training regime like?
My training, do you know what? I've just come off an injury, so I haven't been training real hard lately. But usually on a day-to-day basis, I get up at 7:30. I go train boxing with my trainer Lenny Butcher, up at 5 star. Then I come home, have a little rest. Sometimes I sleep. If I ain't got my little boy jumping all about me, and then I go off to the gym, do an SSC or a swimming or a fitness session, and then I go to work. Obviously, like you picked up on earlier, I'm here helping out at this white collar event. So I train fighters, white collar fighters, amateur fighters. Unfortunately, I'm not in the period just to completely not shut off work. I've still got a big family to support. I've got 3 kids, so I have to go and work. And but I'm lucky. I enjoy what I do. Do you know what I mean? I enjoy training people. So yeah.
Shout out time. Anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Oh, anyone I want to give a shout? Yeah, Lenny Butcher. You don't give a shout out enough. You for coming all this way. To give your time up for people like me who ain't in the public eye a lot. So yeah, big thanks to people like you who are working hard on putting fighters like me a little bit more out there, because like I said, it's all the big boys that get all the limelight, and us little fighters don't get much. So Shaz, you know what, I appreciate your time. It's really nice for you to come down here, man. Oh, and the obviously the people sponsoring the event, shout out to UPR, DCL, DC Insurance. I can't think of anyone else.
And what about your own sponsors?
Yeah, I just mentioned one. UPR are massively involved with me. Hayward and Barrett, DC Insurance. And yeah, Ammo Boxing. Yeah, James Ammo. Check him out on Facebook. He's if you want some winning style products and don't want to pay the money, then listen, trust me, go and see the kid, because it's a special kit, man. Now,
as much as everyone's going to watch you on the 20th of May, if our listeners want to give you a follow, how can they do that on social media?
Well, listen, follow me on Twitter or Instagram at BombLong, or on Facebook, my personal, I've got Billy Long. Or listen, go and hit that like page on Facebook and you might get a free ticket.
Ooh, that's a good one.
You might get a free ticket if you're lucky. But no women, because my missus gets in the mood when I get followed off women. Or my wife, she gets all lumpy. So,
before we sign off, outside of boxing, do you like football?
Yeah, I play a bit of football, but I get too violent. So he'll tell you I'm a nightmare when I play football. I don't ever do it, but I just try and hit everyone.
And who do you support?
I support Spurs.
See, I was going to cuss you about that. I'm a Leeds boy.
You're a Leeds boy?
I was going to cuss you about that. Ashley Cole's looking up at me funny there. I'm a Leeds boy. I was going to have a bit of a crack, but then when you said you suddenly get violent, I don't really fancy my chances against you.
I don't get violent with watching it. I get violent playing it. I'm a nightmare when I play football for some reason. I don't know why it is.
Yeah, well, can you imagine poor footballer comes in 2-footed on you, he's going to end up getting a smash in the face, and he's going to know about it the next morning. Lovely. Well, Billy, you have a cracking one. We'll be there to watch you fight, and hopefully all goes well for you.
Shaz, thanks so much for coming out, and I appreciate you giving me up your time, man.
Lovely, top man. Thank you. Cheers, buddy. Cheers, Ash.
Cheers, thank you, mate.
At the same event was the familiar face, welterweight boxer Adrian Martin and his protege Dan Collins.
Pep Talk UK. I joined once again by Mr. Adrian Martin, who I've seen in a different light today. How you doing, Adrian? You alright?
I'm very good, Shaz. How you going? You alright?
I'm very well. I've bumped into you in the corner of a young fella called Dan Collins, who's standing with us as well. How you doing, Dan?
I'm doing good, yeah.
Dan, Adrian, what's going on?
Well, I've got my little boxing club in Ingatestone, and we're just looking. It started off as just like a keep fit kind of thing, and then some of the boxers here look to get involved in actual fighting, and I've got them involved in a couple of charity fights to raise money for Macmillan Cancer today. So it's just get Dan out there. He's been training with me for a good little while now, and he had his first exhibition fight today. Done really good. It's a bit different than doing it yourself, working it in the corner, but it's nice to see it from that perspective as well, you know.
Dan, you've just had a 3-rounder.
Yep.
You had Billy Long's boy on the ropes. I thought you were going to get a stoppage. It didn't quite go your way. You are the away fighter. How was it having your first fight?
Amazing. Yeah, honestly amazing. It's kind of like you start off as kind of like a bucket list tick-off job, but then it depends obviously the way you're inclined. I love keeping fit, and it's just kind of gone on from there. And actually getting in, and it's not sparring, it's another level, and it's quality. I love it. Absolutely loved it.
You had your wife, chief support, in shouting out for you. She's here, Lauren, supporting you. Where next for you? What are you doing next?
I'll leave that to Adrian, see what he says. But the missus will tell me what I've got to do when she wears the trousers.
Lovely. Lauren, I didn't encourage that in any way whatsoever when you hear this back.
He'll box again. He'll be boxing again.
Good stuff, good stuff. Now, Adrian, with you, last I caught up with you, you were 3-0. You had a bit of a mishap, or you were held back a little bit by a medical. You've overcome that. You fought on the 11th of March, if I make it. What was it, the 12th of March?
I think it was 11th was last year, I think, and 12th was this year. No, it was 11th this year and 12th last year.
11th of March, 11th, you got a points win.
Yeah.
How's it feel being back in the saddle? How did it feel being back at York Hall, was it?
Oh yeah, it's amazing. Back at York Hall, back in home. It's like second home, you know. It's home away from home. You know, up there for your pressers, to go support your friends. You're in there when you're fighting yourself. It's like a second home. I love it in there. The atmosphere, the spit and sawdust, like the feel of it all. It's amazing. And to get back out there and to not have any ring rust as well was really nice. But I kept fit, although I had the medical queries and everything. I kept training. I laid off the sparring until obviously I found out everything was okay, and then just got back into it, and had one of the best camps I've ever had. I've never felt so fit in my life. You know, I've been sparring some really good lads, and in the last month, Mark Massell really helped out me and Joe Taylor, because letting us come down and having got in touch with Matt McCarthy, and we got about 40 rounds in the space of 2 or 3 weeks, you know. So it was really good to get top level sparring with someone of that experience, you know, and it's really makes you up your game. And I felt that when I was in there with Liam Griffiths. I felt like I was a different fighter than what I was last year, and it's really good to see that continual improvement. You know, I thought I made big progress when I stopped Hajj back in July, but to then go in there and to win a clean points decision and to box tidy against Liam Griffiths, who is quite good at making it a bit more messy and bringing it into his sort of game, it was really good, and I thought I'd put on some good skills.
When you next out?
I've got to speak to Mr. Goodwin. I'm going to phone him on Monday after seeing Joe, and I think we're looking potentially 22nd of June, and it's going to be at least a 6-rounder.
Quality, onwards and upwards. Now, for any of our listeners who want to give you a follow, how do they get in touch with you? For any of our listeners that want to try on a pair of gloves and come down and do what Danny Boy here's done, how do they get in touch, and how do they get hold of you?
Okay, so you can follow me on Instagram, which is AdrianMartin1, or on Twitter at OneAdrianMartin, or just add me on Facebook, Adrian Martin, or like my page, Adrian A. Martin on Facebook, and drop me a message on there, and I'll reply to them. I'm quite good with replying, so with whatever queries they have, you know, just keep it PG, please.
Last one is, as you know, Pascal's French, you're half French. Hit him with some French lingo to end this interview.
Merde, je sais pas quoi dire. Merci pour avoir l'interview avec moi, Chaz, et bon courage, Pascal.
Wicked. By the way, he said Shaz in there and it sounded like he said something good. So thank you as always, Adrian. We'll be back out when you're back out. Always a pleasure seeing you, and I love what you're doing. I love what you're doing with this white collar stuff. It's absolutely fantastic.
Cheers,
especially if it is for good causes like charity, like Macmillan. Fantastic. You're a young lad, you're doing well yourself as a pro boxer, and you're making time on your evenings off to do this, so fantastic.
Thanks a lot, appreciate it.
Cheers, buddy. Thank you. Cheers, Dan.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Thank you, Shaz. Nice. Now it's football time, and the Premiership is back this week after a dull international break. The real footy returns, like young Jeezy says. Yeah. So, we're going to try and get some predictions for some of the games. And the biggest game of the weekend is the Merseyside derby. It's Liverpool versus Tony Bellew's Everton. Now, Brad, I know you're a Liverpool fan. I had to bring that up. Now. You know, no need to feel ashamed. All right. Now, you guys, you're sitting pretty in fourth. You're 4 points ahead of Man United, but you played 2 extra games. What is your prediction for this derby, and can you kick on and seal that Champions League place?
Yes, 100%. 100%.
You sure?
Yeah, I feel like, well, it's been a while, isn't it? Since, so I feel like it's about time.
Do you remember when Gerald was around, you slipped up? You remember that?
You know, Gerard's my favourite footballer, but that slip, that went viral, didn't it? So I don't know. Yeah, I think Liverpool can do it. Is it Anfield or is it at?
It's at Anfield, and Everton are in some good form as well. They're 6th, and they're not far off Liverpool. But Koeman has got them compact, and they're playing with a lot of confidence. So it's going to be a really tough derby.
Yeah, I don't know, my money's on Liverpool. I've just got to back him. I won't be a true fan otherwise. So you got this.
What score are you calling?
I'm calling. I reckon it's gonna be close. It's gonna be like 1-0 or something.
1-0.
It's not gonna be crazy. It's gonna be 1-0. Yeah, nothing heavy. Just a little. Just probably like a late goal to Liverpool. That's it. Done.
It could be a late one. It could be a late Firmino injury time winner. Now, Pascal. I need a prediction, mate. The Merseyside derby.
Well,
try not to upset Tony Bellew now. Everton's his team.
But you see, Frankie B, listen to my rationale behind it. I've looked at the table, and Everton are very, very close to a Champions League top 4. And I think that they'll be pressing very hard. And I certainly expect Everton to win that game. I think that Liverpool certainly have not been the best lately. You know, they beat Arsenal, but Arsenal are in terrible shape at the moment. Mentally, they're not there. You know, and Liverpool just took advantage of a very depressed Arsenal side. But Everton, I've got a good manager. Ronald Koeman has changed the team around. He still believes in the team, and I expect Everton to overcome Liverpool. And I think it's going to be a very interesting upset. It's going to be like David Hay and Tony Bellew, where Tony Bellew won, and I expect Everton to take that victory. For me, it's going to be a 2-1 victory for Everton.
Yeah, and I'm going to go for Everton as well. I'm going to go for Everton 1-0. Now, we're going to move on to another game, and it's concerning Arsenal. They play Man City at the Emirates in another big game on Super Sunday. Now, Pascal, we've talked about Arsenal many times,
Oh, God.
We talked about this waste a lot.
Right.
Now, what result do you see? Because Guardiola as well, he needs to get Man City into the Champions League.
Of course.
And Arsenal are, they're desperate for 4th as usual. And they're 7 points behind City with only one game in hand, so they need to win this game. It's time to stand up for the players.
Well, look, Frankie B, we have 2 good styles who are underperforming. Let's just be honest. Pep Guardiola has not been the revelation that everyone expected in the Premiership. He struggled. Let's just be honest, he struggled, and he's going to continue to struggle. He has not yet understood or figured out the British game. And he's having to rebuild the team, and he certainly is finding it very difficult to find the balance and to find the winning formula. And from the very start of the season, with its change of goalkeepers to not addressing the defensive issues at the back, I think that Guardiola is finding the British game very difficult to adjust to. But in saying that, I still believe that he has the tactical advantage over Arsene Wenger, and I'm afraid that Arsenal will continue to descend down the table furthermore. It pains me to say that, but we certainly have not yet seen an Arsenal side that is willing to pick themselves up and win the game and grab the game by the scruff of their necks. We certainly did not expect Arsenal to lose away to West Brom. We certainly didn't expect Arsenal to lose again in a similar fashion to the first game against Liverpool, and I'm sorry that Manchester City will overcome Arsenal yet again, and it's going to be another difficult season for Arsene Wenger, and certainly very difficult remaining games till the end of the season. And an Arsenal Fan TV will probably see record numbers of viewers because it's going to be very shocking. I mean,
I'm sure Robbie's going to be rubbing his hands together, man.
He's certainly very, very happy, yes. But I mean, frankly, this is certainly we're looking at an implosion here, and everybody at Arsenal tries to, it's a bit like having been in a marriage, and that the husband is having an affair openly, but he's trying to keep the family together. But you see the man at the strip club every weekend. Arsenal have got problems, and just because they seem to be, they're not coming out, and Wenger is refusing to come out and tell us about his future. To me that shows that there's still very much a lot of issues that have not been addressed within the board. And the cracks are beginning to show. They're showing in the team because the team is not performing well. And I think that Pep Guardiola will take advantage of that. And I can foresee Manchester City winning again by 3-goal margin because of of course, the Arsenal defense is not very good. And I heard speculations that the goalkeepers both want to leave. Czech wants to go. And Ospina also
Czech needs to go. He needs to go.
Well, it's certainly, it's been a very difficult season for him, but, let's not forget he's still very good, a very good keeper, but he can only be as good as the defensive cover that he has, and at Chelsea he had very good defense, and I'm still believing he has a lot to offer the game. I mean, if you look at Buffon started, his 1,000 game on the Italy, and they kept a clean sheet, so there's certainly hope for Czech, and Czech is still a very good keeper, but, he doesn't have the back four that he needs that give him the confidence to stop the ball, so he feels very much exposed. And I'm sorry that Manchester City are going to take advantage of our very weak defense, and I don't fancy our chances, I'm afraid. I don't fancy Arsenal chances anymore for quite some time, I'm afraid.
So it's going to be a 3-0 Merkish to Man City, and we'll probably see a few banners come out. Shout out Trooper, yeah? Shout out DT. I know those guys have got they got the banners ready, yeah?
Certainly, yeah.
Brad, as a Liverpool fan, now what do you make of this Arsenal debacle? Should the manager stay or should he go? What should Arsenal do?
I'm gonna be really honest. I don't know loads about it. I'm not massively into football, but
has it become that boring?
Yeah, I don't know. I've lost my love for it a little bit. But from what I've seen on social media, Wenger, his stats are really bad, aren't they? So the way he sort of handled the team up recently, he doesn't seem good enough to be manager anymore, and it seems like he might be the reason why they're not performing. I think they got beat quite badly the other day. Might have been 5-1? That's in my mind for some reason.
Yeah, Bayern. Yeah, against Bayern.
Yeah, and yeah, so with stuff like that happening, it doesn't seem like he's quite up to the job anymore. So maybe that's the reason why. But that's about as far as my knowledge goes with football, to be honest.
Yeah, see, Brad is being quite kind to us. He really wants to laugh and sing. We want you to stay. We want you to stay. Arsene Wenger, we want you to stay.
Yeah.
So prediction wise, what you going for score wise, Brad?
I'm going to say with recent events, I'm going to have to go with Man City.
Ooh.
And I'm just going to put it out there, I'm just going to say 3-0.
Wow. So in other words, City are going to mess things up at the Emirates and take the points.
Yeah.
Right, now we're talking about a team in the ascendancy, Man United versus West Brom. Now, we shouldn't really even be talking about this game. For me, this is a nailed-on home victory. But Man United are in a good position at the moment, and they look favourites because they have a few games in hand, and they're looking quite solid and consistent. Now, Pascal, is this a nailed-on home victory?
Certainly, one thing that Jose Mourinho does very well is take advantage of situations, and the fact that Arsenal are not performing, as well as everybody in the Premier League expected them to, he will cement his chances of top 4. Jose Mourinho has made it very clear that he wants to win the UEFA Cup, but also he wants to ensure that Manchester United has to be in the Champions League. I believe these are his targets anyway, and if he meets those targets, he certainly can even splash more money next season to try and win the Premiership title.
Yeah,
which
talks of Neymar. Talks of Neymar this week.
There's certainly talks of Neymar. I mean, this is incredible. But you know for sure that if Manchester United are back in that top 4 in the Champions League, they're going to be spending probably £250 million on players. I would not be surprised if Neymar wears a Manchester United shirt.
They're about that life. They're about that life for real.
They certainly will do whatever they can to cement themselves as an elite football club in Europe and in England. So I expect Manchester United to show Arsenal how to beat a team like West Brom. I do not expect West Brom to beat Manchester United in any way, shape or form. However, West Brom could take some pleasure of beating Arsenal and probably feel a bit, as they say in England, gassed about beating Arsenal, and they may well surprise Manchester. It is possible, but I don't think that will be the case. I think that Mourinho will set the team up very well so that they can beat West Brom, and I don't think that he suffered any injuries during the international break, so most of his players will be back. I mean, France are playing Spain as we speak, so it'll be interesting to see whether Pogba will be ready for that game. But look, I expect Manchester United to edge it and to get closer and closer to the top 4.
Yes, and we'll spare Brad in this one. I will predict a 2-0 Man United victory, and Man United are playing well, right? They're set up now, they're solid, they're not conceding goals, they're consistent, the confidence is there, and it looks like they're going to drive on to the Champions League at Arsenal's expense. And I just got a feeling that Mourinho is going to be a really happy man. He's going to rub Arsene Wenger's nose in it at the end of the season. Now moving on, Spurs versus Burnley. Look, Burnley are no pushovers. Yeah, Burnley are mid-table. They've got a good defensive record. They've upset some big teams. They're hard to beat. They're well organised. This ain't going to be easy for Spurs because they're missing Harry Kane and they're missing who else? Somebody else is missing for them as well. Dele Alli. That's it. So it's going to be a really tough game, Pascal. I think this could be a draw.
I certainly believe that. Yeah, I think that Burnley could cause some upset at Spurs, and would take advantage of the lack of the stars. And I think that it is difficult. Because in international games, you always have the injuries, and Burnley certainly need the points to stay up. Spurs believe in their house, so they can still maybe close the gap against Chelsea. So I certainly expect Burnley to give them a tough game. Burnley beat Liverpool this season. They don't push overs. And when we went to see them against Arsenal, they gave Arsenal a very difficult time as well.
Yes.
So I certainly expect Burnley. You're right. A draw would be very interesting, but a score draw. I don't think it'll be a 0-0 draw. I think it'll be a score draw, and I fancy Burnley to score at least a couple of goals. They have a very awkward defense, very strong defensive.
Very well organised and drilled.
Very well organised, of course, yeah. So there's certainly a chance for Burnley to take advantage of that, and I'm sure they will. I'm certainly sure they'll be set up to frustrate Spurs and to take advantage of the weakness in the team. I mean, it's part of football, it's part of the game. And I expect Burnley to come out with a point at the very least, and I wouldn't be surprised if Burnley win, actually. It wouldn't be surprising.
And one thing I do know for sure is Janssen ain't going to score a hat-trick, mate. So, you know, we'll just leave it as that, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, now, the leaders, Chelsea. Mate, I'm not going to lie to you. They're doing well. They're consistent. Teams playing some magnificent football. Conte's got them motivated. They're looking more than odds on for the title with, 10 games remaining? 9 games remaining?
Yes.
This is a formality for me. This is going to be 3-0 Chelsea against Palace. What are you seeing in this game? Are you seeing a similar thing? Chelsea victory?
Of course, it's a foregone conclusion. You know, Chelsea are going to be, champions, current champions, even with some games to spare. You know, there's been talks of Conte, agreeing further, contract talks with Chelsea. You know, he certainly wants to stay. And look, and let's not forget that Conte inherited that team, and he did very few additions to the team. Very few. And
work rate and organisation, mate.
He certainly did, like a Roman legionnaire. He's done that very well. But you know what is very concerning, Frankie, is I heard today that, Conte has had talks with the Chelsea board about bringing over Alexis Sanchez.
Yeah.
There's talks of him going over to, to the other part of London because they can afford to give him the £250,000 that Sanchez is looking for. Also, Sanchez is getting into the age bracket where Arsenal get nervous when somebody turns over 28. So, and we've seen it done before. Van Persie going to Manchester United. Could Alexis Sanchez go to Chelsea?
What big team does that? What big team does that? Yeah.
It would be the worst decision that Arsenal have made since the Van Persie selling. And but Arsenal are a very interesting club that do not always follow the logical patterns. They've always done things outside
pound signs.
Of course. So I can certainly see Alexis going if Chelsea offers £60 million. It's certainly one way he's going. He certainly can jump on the district line and go over to Chelsea. It's possible.
Jump on the Hammersmith and City line, mate.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And meanwhile, Arsenal linked with £12 million goalkeeper from Sporting Lisbon, I think it is. Like, and come on, man.
I also heard that Kasper Schmeichel was also in the run-up.
That would be decent for Arsenal. If Arsenal could get Kasper Schmeichel, that's decent. He's a good goalkeeper, and he knows the Premiership well.
He's not as good as his father, but he's certainly a decent one. But actually, no credit. I take that back because Leicester won the league, and he's now in the quarterfinal of the Champions League. So good credit. You're right. It's certainly it is a young goalkeeper also. So yes, of course. With Arsenal need a complete overhaul at the back anyway. So yeah.
Well, either way, the Premiership is back this weekend, and we're gonna love it. Love to see the games this weekend. Now that's our time. I'd like to thank Pascal. I'd like to thank Brad Pauls. Join us again next week for another Pep Talk UK podcast. Thank you. Boom.